Today I want to show you how I made my track titled UB. I just released this track recently and I haven't recorded any video related to music production, just about the work that I do on my day-to-day, which is carpentry. And this track has a fast BPM, is 140. It's not too fast though, but the reason why it has a 140 BPM is because I was trying to write a track type of track. But after I came across with the main lead or the main melody or lead sound for this track, I ended up switching the idea that I have for this track, and that's the reason why I left that one at the end. So that's the reason why I had that extra surprise or variation at the end of the track. So I'm gonna play a little bit the build up all the way to the drop section so you can get the idea of how this track sound. By the way, it's available to stream in every major platform, so you can check it out too. This is how it sounds. That's the main track, and I just noticed that I had the master chain on. I can't believe that I'm able to record the screen while having all the master chain activated, so it's really nice to work like this. I'm gonna start from the intro all the way to the end of the track, and the first thing that we have is this chord progression. It is a simple chord, and I think this is the only one playing in the chord or in the first break of the track, and this is how it sounds. Pretty sure I'm using Silent, so let's check it out. Yeah, I'm using Silent for this, and it is a sine wave with a 3 saw. Maybe I ended up changing the LFO of the track itself or the filter, but I'm not sure. And for the processing, I have distortion and EQ, little primal tap, RC20 with the Vinyl 1 preset, and another EQ just to remove the soft frequency or the low frequency and some of the high frequency, and the filter automation over here, which is the one that you can see on the playlist. Then we have this atmosphere, which is a sample, and this is how it sounds. And we have another one over here. So this one is more of a glitchy type of sample, and the processing for this one, for the first one, it's just an EQ, removing some of the frequency that I don't need in the mid section for this part of the track. And for the second one, the one with the glitchy effects, it has crystallizer with the smooth crystal preset. It's all the way wet, or the mix level is 100%. And we have the Snaphead plugin with the Gate Wider preset. And we have an EQ Supermassive with the 80 Space Bird preset, about 30% the mix level. And finally another EQ with this shape or with this setting. And we have a filter automation over here. And this is for the filter automation is on the Boss channel for the pads and ambient stuff, as you can see over here. Then I had this build out. This is how it sounds. I already bounced everything on this track, so this is the final stem for this section. So in the Boss channel for this build out section, I have Transit and an EQ filter, and let me show you the plugins for that. So this one over here. In the processing for the Boss channel, I have distortion or a overdrive, an EQ, a compressor, Saturn 2, and I just add the warm tape preset with the dry setting. OTT, Valhalla Room, and Transit. And this is the plugin that I have for the transition part at the end of the build out. So with this preset, and you can see that it is this automation over here, which is the mix level for the plugin, and the EQ over here, which is just removing some of the high frequency at the very end. And then I have this fill. It is a tone fill with the Effector plugin, which is a native plugin from FL, and I'm just using the lo-fi setting, and I'm automating the X and Y parameter. Inside here, you can see this is how it sounds. And if I turn the Effector off, this is just the sample itself. And with just one parameter, this is how it sounds. The second one, the next one. So yeah, I like to add those little effects just to keep a little bit of a interesting sound, because I like to add that type of processing just to change the tonality of a sample effect or a simple sound. After that, we had the intro lead, which is this one over here. So this is the lead that I have on the break section. And in order to create this pattern, this kind of stutter effect, this is how it sounds. So basically, the boss channel, it follows this shape that I have over here, this sample. So you can hear the sound playing a bit higher and lower. So it's because it's following this waveform, and I did record some video explaining how I did this process. Frankly, I like to use this because that's one way to create a track by having a unique LFO shape. When I feel stuck that I can write something really fast, so I like to do this. And you came across with this unique sound design process and ideas. This is a loop that it has the same BPM as the track. You can adjust the BPM of any sample loop that you have in your library. It might be better to have something a bit offset with the BPM that you're working. So you can just stretch it into the BPM that you're working, and that way you will have kind of that extra offbeat type of process in the track, creating something unique, if that makes sense. This is the break lead that I have playing in this section. And I had two layers. This one is the first one, silent, and the second one is silent too. And I'm using I thought that I had the arpeggiator setting activated, but no. So this is how it sounds. So for the processing on this one, I had the Capitator, an EQ, Valhalla Room. This one, Fruity Balance, is the one following the waveform of this sample. So you can see how it's gonna work. I'm gonna explain that in a little bit because I'm gonna show you that in the main lead sound for the track itself. So I'm gonna explain how I do this process. So yeah, Fruity Balance is just doing the work of the LFO pattern. And then we had the reverb, which is just reverb. Valhalla. Oh, I think that I add Valhalla in this space over here just to create that extra ambience in this section of the drop. Then I have Patcher with the preset, the Frank Paul May, imitating the Data Live plugin, the Endless Smile, in this part over here. This is how it sounds. Then I had the introduction of the main lead sound that it is playing in the drop section, following the same LFO pattern over here. So let me check another thing that I have. Okay, we had the bassline too. I'm using two type of bassline, one for the break and the other one for the drop section. This is how it sounds, this one. So what I'm doing over here at the beginning is just the static sound playing over here. But since I'm using the same Fruity Balance to create the stutter effect or the LFO shape over here, I'm creating an automation clip. So once I'm getting closer into the drop, I'm introducing the pattern that I'm going to play in the drop section, so you can hear over here. So yeah, I did that process just to give the introduction for the main hook of this track. So then we had the kick and the snare. Yeah, so this is just the kick playing over here. It's just the kick, I didn't do any processing over here. So then we had I had these sample shots over here. And what I did was, so I just play a regular sample. I think it's just a keep or not sure what it was. So it's this one over here, and not sure why I can't play it right now, but I was playing just the keep over here, as you can see. And then what I did was I had the keep in this other section that I did over here too. And what I like to do is, like I say, in this case, I play the kick over here. I just open Edison, which is, I think that I delete the file, that's fine. I just open Edison and I like to record something over here. In this case, I was looping the kick and I was messing around with the mids, the delay, the wah, and the feedback, which is the one creating those weird and unique type of texture, as you can hear over here. These little details over there. So all of that came, and all of that came by just playing this kick over here. So I was just messing around with the setting in super massive, and sometimes I like to use, in this case, in this one, I was playing a different type of sample. This one over here, as you can see in the playlist, and I ended up with this with this file over here, and this is how it sounds. In that one, it's the same thing. I just was messing around with Supermassive and I came across with this file, like I say, and I ended up adding those files in this section over here, as you can see. I just chop it to kind of integrate those in the playlist or in the track. For example, I use this in the build-up section. This is how it sounds. And what is unique about it, that it is kind of randomized type of pattern, so it's nothing really quantized type of sound. So that's the reason why I like to do this type of stuff, and it's something that I started doing recently. In every project I like to record something so I can add those little details over here. For example, this one over here. So yeah, that's really nice. And then we have a couple other ones over here too. After that, for the break section, I only had the sample effects for the transition. So I'm just gonna play the break section so you can hear how it sounds, everything together. So that's how it's on the break section. And now let me show you the element in the drop section. So let me show you the baseline. So this is the baseline, and we have, so I had 3 layers and I'm using just a mix section of the baseline for in this part over here. So this is how the baseline sound in the break section. I'm just adding 1 layer on the break section, on the drop section, and I'm using the same baseline that I have on the break section, but I'm just removing some of the low frequency, so that way I only have the high frequency over here, and I'm just adding the soft frequency over here just to keep more of a controlled baseline, since the LFO that I have playing over here, it's really difficult to control. I like to push everything with the compressor and distortion, And at the very end, I like to keep everything consistent with the limiter. So I'm gonna show you that right now. For the processing, I have Saturn EQ3. I left the video while I was explaining the LFO pattern that I did in the, well, for the main track, which is this section over here. And I'm going to explain how you can create this type of effects in your track in FL Studio. Basically, I'm following this sample loop, as you can see over here, this one over here. And the first thing that you need to do is you need to add any sample loop and just place it in the playlist. In this case, I had this sample loop over here and I just route this one into channel 44. Then you need to add FreeDP controller and you will see FreeDP controller reading the waveform of this sample, and this is how it's gonna look. So as you can see, this is FreeDP controller reading the sample loop that I'm just playing over here, or the chop pattern that I have placed already. You can tweak the LFO of the sample loop by changing this setting over here. I won't do it because I already had the setting in place. So even though this is a backup project, but nonetheless, I don't want to tweak it. After having the sample loop routed into any mixer channel that you want, this is in channel 44. Any mixer channel is routed into the master. It will look something like this. You only need to left click in this top arrow over here to to remove that line. That will mute the mixer, so it won't send any signal into the master, but the mixer channel will receive the signal from the sample loop. You can see right now. What you want is just the signal over here, which is the main thing that's gonna trick all the other channels. I'm using this signal in the bus channel for the core, bass. After finish this process, in this case, let's go into the baseline bus, this one over here. I have Fruity Balance, which is this plugin over here. And you see this knob moving around while I'm playing this section over here. So I just right click and then click link to controller, and you have to route it into FreeDP controller. In this case, you see that I have FreeDP controller insert 44, or it will say the name that you have in the mixer channel, and you have to select control pick, this one over here, click accept, and that's everything. And after that, you can change the setting of the LFO in FreeDP controller. So that's how you can apply this LFO in any channel, because this is for the bass and this is the one for the chorus, this one over here. And the other lead that I'm playing in the break section, which is following the same pattern as this one over here. So that's how you can create this effect, and also how you can create a very unique type of track by placing any sample loop over here. The next thing is the main lead sound that I have playing over here, which is this one over here. The only thing is that you can play anything in the mixer channel. You have to play the whole thing because the Fruity Balance need to be triggered by the channel 44, which is the one that had the sample loop. So this is how it sounds the first lead. Then the second one. Then the third one. And the last one, which is a sample loop. Last one has a lot of distortion, and in the mix it sounds like this. So for the processing of this lead sound, I'm using Patcher just to have this extra space for processing wise. So I have Saturn 2, and I'm using the preset Brutal Compressor BM, then an EQ, Brick Pressor. I think the limiter is also taking effects in this section over here, not sure. Then we have another compressor. I think it's because that one was the window version, not the one that I have already with the Mac, so with the OS system. Then I have OTT over here. Then we have Valhalla Room, and then I have limiter just to tame a little bit this part of the sound before I start applying the LFO pattern, which is this section over here. So after the processing of the LFO, I'm using a limiter just so I can have a better control of the sample or the sound, because while doing this technique, the level of this is really difficult to control, so I like to compress a lot and also at the end apply the limiter so you can see how it's gonna look the final form of this sound. So you can see how it looks, this peak section over here compared to this one over here. And that way I can push this out a bit further and have a more consistent level at the time that I'm mixing. After that, I have another reverb. Then I have filter, which is this automation click, as you can see over here with the resonant automation too. And then I have this sidechain plugin from Nicky Romero. Next, we have the kick and the snare. This is how it sounds, both of them together. I already bounced everything for this section of the track. This is the final file for this part of the drums. I did want to have the snare really present in the mix, so that's the reason why it sounds really in front of the mix. And I have a couple layers on the stereo side of the sound field over here, as you can see this part over here. I might have to use this one so you can see better. You can see that it is a bit wider, the sound. Then we have the percussion, which is not that many. You see how it sounds in the mix. Just a ride and a regular hi-hat, and the sample transition effect. I didn't use too much elements in this track, so that's the reason why it looks without too many stuff around in the playlist. So because this part over here, as you can see, is like I say the main LFO pattern playing in the entire track for all the elements. I think this is all for this section of the track. Then on the second part of the break, which is this one over here, I think I have the same stuff that I already showed you. Oh well, I have another string section over here. This is how it sounds. Well, let me play the second break so you can get the idea of the mix. So this is how it sounds. I have another layers playing around, and the first one is this string sound. This is how it sounds on its own. Let's look at the channel. I have Fade Mistress and an EQ. The only coloration that it has is on the boss channels, not too many stuff or too much processing on its own. So then we had this arpeggiator playing this part of the track. This is how it sounds. I had two layers that you can see over here in the playlist, so this is how it sounds. It's panning left and right, and it is very noticeable, the panning effect. On its own channel for each layer, it doesn't have any processing, just the mid level. But then on the Boss channel, I have the Capitator, and the processing is very simple, just a little bit with the drive and this setting over here with the T. Then I have EQ, Valhalla Room, Echo Boy, and this reverb over here is just to move the sound very back on the mix at the very end for before the drop. You can hear how it sounds over here. And this is the automation clip for this one, for the mix level of Valhalla. As well, the filtering over here. That's for this part of the track, and then the same lead sound playing over here. Then we had the same bass line playing over here, and I think that you can hear those details over here. Just to add those little elements around in the mix, they really make a difference. Yeah, they kinda make a little bit of the ear candy so you can have the stereo effect with those little elements over here. And on the second drop, I think that I had the same elements playing around. Like I mentioned, I only had the break lick over here, adding those couple details on certain notes of the track. You can hear more just the reverb of the tail or the sound over here. I had this other detail over here. Let's try to hear that on the mix. It's very subtle, the sound. I can kind of hear because it's... So yeah, it has the panning effect, so that's the reason why you can hear it on the left side. Let me show you with this other one, because I had this visualizer over here, but this one is ended up covered with the video that I'm recording. So let me show you with this one. So every time that the notes is playing, it ended up being on the left side. Not sure what I use for this, let me look. So I'm using Silent, and the processing for this one is just an EQ, little primal tag, and the panning effect. And the same, you know, the same sample effects over here. This one is really nice. This one and this one. At the very end, I had this different variation on the track. This is how it sounds. So that was the main idea for this track, this loop over here. But then I created the LFO pattern and I ended up changing the whole idea for this track. I did want to bring the 808 in this track, so that's the reason why I ended up adding at the very end. The processing for the 808, in case that you're wondering, is this one over here. So I only have Saturn and an EQ. The master chain, I'm using the same processing as always, Saturn 2, Oxford Inflator, Pro Q3, compressor, another compressor, then the shadow heels. Maybe just compressing 2 or 3 dBs in this track over here. Also 9, TR Clipper, and at the very end, Pro L2. Like I said, the track is available to stream in every major platform, and I think the track is really simple, not too many elements. I guess that it is very complex or very difficult to remake, because all of those are preset, and I just trying to change to make those sound very unique with the processing that I do, mostly with distortion and maybe with the EQ shape. Other than that, if you have any question about this track, just let me know. I will try to answer something that maybe I didn't explain pretty well. And thank you for watching.